This week on Buddy Movies, Lucasfilm is developing an Indiana Jones series on Disney+, Warner Brothers is open to making more Harry Potter movies with J.K. Rowling, and we review Jim Carrey's The Truman Show, as well as Fringe Season 1, Episodes 3 and 4, all coming up on today's episode of Buddy Movies.
Welcome to Buddy Movies,
the place where buddies talk about movies.
I am your host, Mark Young.
And I am your host, Anthony Watkins.
Well, thank you for joining us on this latest episode of, what number are we on now?
72.
72. Oh man, we're getting there. We're getting there. So close. Man. Oh, 75. I'm excited.
Yeah. That'll be a big mark.
And you're good for doing the live episode then?
Yes, I should be good for that.
Okay, so then we're going to make an official announcement right now. December 5th, live episode of Buddy Movies. We'll do it at 8 o'clock that Monday night. Maybe we should do it at 9. I'm not sure.
Yeah, 9 I think would be pretty good.
Okay, 9 o'clock.
Do it now.
It's a Monday night, December 5th, and we will see you live on... Ooh, where are we doing this?
Well, we'll
have to post a link.
Yeah, we did Jurassic Park on Facebook Live, I know.
We'll be posting the link on Facebook.
Yeah.
We'll be posting the link at least on Facebook. But we will be doing a live episode, and we will get that link out for everybody to be part of it.
Indeed. Yeah. Boy, I tell you, so Mark and I just planned. So Wakanda Forever is coming out as we're recording this coming weekend.
Yeah, tomorrow. Actually, you could go see it tonight, honestly.
Well, actually, yeah, this Thursday night, I forget. Yeah, movies come out Thursday nights now. Yes, that's been a long time. So yeah, we're planning to see it Saturday in Harrisburg. We're going to kind of meet halfway at the Regal in Harrisburg, and we're both really excited to see it. It should be good. And yeah, did you officially decide, do you want to see it in 3D? Because we can make that happen for only an extra $3 or $4. We can see it in all glory 3D.
I can't imagine it being any better in 3D than without 3D.
You don't want to
give me a headache.
Panther pouncing out at you, in your seat. You don't want that experience. No.
I think I'm good.
Cool. All right. Fair enough. So we'll see it in regular 2D. And yeah, looking forward to it. It's gotten, like we said, I think we mentioned last week, it's gotten some good early reviews.
Yeah, it is high up there right now.
I think the audience score right now, I mean, obviously it just came out, but I think it's at 94% Rotten Tomatoes for the audience score and 85% for critics. So yeah, it should be good. This is honestly probably it's been the first Marvel movie probably since Spider-Man No Way Home I've been most looking forward to. I mean, as we've discussed, Marvel movies have been, very hit or miss, mostly miss for me recently, but this one I'm very much excited to see. So,
yeah, well, Marvel's been going through a rough patch during this pandemic and everything. Mm-hmm. It's also the fact that they finished off a huge story.
Right.
And how can you actually continue that level of anything? You can't.
Exactly. There was so much hype, and we discussed this. There was so much hype and gravity around Endgame, where it's like, oh, the whole world, it's all built in just one moment. Once it's over, it's like, now what? We have to start all over again and build up to that for another 10 years. It's like,
I mean, that's essentially what you have to do, and they are building up even bigger though, because they're doing Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty at the same time. Right. So that's going to be interesting, because they're basically, if they go the right route, you're going to deal with Secret Wars. You're dealing with Doctor Doom as the big villain, and Kang Dynasty, you'll be dealing with Kang. So, and they'll probably, truthfully, I think it'll be two separate teams of Avengers. I think the Kang Dynasty is going to be dealt with the more modern current heroes, like She-Hulk and the younger Hawkeye and those guys stepping up, Black Panther and things to be their own heroes. And I wouldn't be surprised if for Secret Wars we had Captain America and Iron Man and stuff come back just for that, because there is precedent for that with the comic books.
See,
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say, my question here with these Marvel movies going forward here, are they going to, especially with that Kang, build on, they expect the audience to already have known who Kang is from watching the Disney Plus series like Loki? Are they expecting you to already know all the background? They expect you to have watched the Disney Plus series, or are they going to provide a little background info so they don't just assume you've seen the Disney Plus series?
Well, I know they're going to be building up to him more than they did with Thanos, because Endgame was pretty much Thanos. Not Endgame. Infinity War is pretty much a Thanos movie. Right. Where you got to know the character a lot more, and his motivations and things he's done, and you see some of his history. Right.
That's my hope.
And I would think they have to do something like that, but they are going to be seeding the character throughout other movies. He's in Quantumania. He's the villain in that movie, so you're going to be dealing with him beforehand. And it's going to be a similar thing with Doctor Doom. You'll probably be dealing with him in Fantastic Four, and then again in Secret Wars. So we'll have to see what happens. This is very typical for comics. It's very typical for them to have like a big crossover event, and then everything has to die down, and kind of, you go into not bad stories, but just more personal focused stories of the characters, which is what we've been dealing with, like team action driven. And that's good, but it's not normal for a TV show, really, or other types of series of movies that people are used to. So this is normal for comics. It's not normal for film. But it's what they're going to have to do to build back up. You can't just keep going higher and higher and higher. It's going to be, it's too much. Yeah. It is way too much. Especially when you consider just the power of some of these characters compared to others. Right. I wouldn't be surprised though, if they do, oh my God, I just hope they do Dr. Doom well and actually have him be as powerful and as much of a threat as he is, because he's just, he seems like he shouldn't be that big of a threat, but he is. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see what they do. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. Wakanda Forever is going to kick butt. I have no doubt that movie is going to pass 1 billion. Oh yeah. Probably. I mean, I guess I'm trying to think. Spider-Man got 1.5. I would assume Wakanda would get right around 1.5, 1.3, 1.5. I wouldn't be surprised if it did a little less, just because they don't have the Chinese market usually for that, because of China's racist issues. So I don't know how else to put it. I mean, that's the reality is China has a bigger problem with black people than America. So, and that's well known. It's documented. They did it with Star Wars, where they had to, that's pretty much the reason why Finn got pushed out of the series or relegated to a side character. Even on the physical posters that they released in not Japan, in China. Finn was turned, like he was shrunk down. Like the physical picture of the character was shrunk down to be a smaller size because of the way they deal. That. Yeah, it's really messed up that Disney caved to that. But yeah, it'll still do 1 billion. Yeah. All right. Well, do we want to get into? We have 2 articles here for our current events. Yeah, let's look at this Indiana Jones thing. What's going on there? Yes. So basically, Disney Plus is looking to develop an Indiana Jones series. Now, as we all know, the 5th Indiana Jones and the last one, at least the last one with Harrison Ford, is coming out next year. I forget what month. I think it's during the summer of 2023. And so Disney Plus is now looking to, because Indiana Jones is obviously a major franchise. This is a big franchise. Has a big cult following. You know, it's been around since the 80s. So it's been around,
80s are, 40 plus years at this point. So
don't remind me.
Yeah, sorry about that reminder there. But it's a long-running franchise, and the article here is from the playlist. It's called "Indiana Jones: Lucasfilm is developing a TV series for Disney Plus." It's coming next year, June 30, 2023. The fifth Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford has vowed it's his very last time playing the character. So that's it for the franchise, right? Not so, says Lucasfilm and Disney, who are developing an Indiana Jones series for Disney Plus. How's that going to work without Harrison Ford? Well, according to Variety, it may not, although that's unclear. Lucasfilm was eyeing the possibility of a streaming show, quote, set in the world of the globe-trotting archaeologist and general meetings with writers of late. No writer has been hired, and they're still working for a strong take, and no plot details have been revealed yet. So this is very much an infancy stage. It could tie into the fifth Indiana Jones, or it could just be a whole prequel series, with him as a younger person. They're currently exploring a number of options. Yeah, they're exploring a number of options to keep the franchise going, which could mean a series, new films, other media, or a combination thereof. So that said, if Ford has stated publicly that he was done with Indiana Jones, it would seem unlikely that he would turn up in this series. So I highly doubt Harrison Ford would come into a Disney Plus series to try to bring back Indiana Jones once again. So it's going to likely be without him. That being said, as much as I love, Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones is one of my favorite franchises, but even without Harrison Ford, this is probably a series, honestly, I would at least try to watch or start watching to see how it goes, because I love the world. I love his character so much. If they did him as a very young Indiana Jones, like late teens, early 20s, I think I'd be into watching that at least, at least try watching it. What are your thoughts here?
I don't even know if he'd have to be that young. They already did Young Indiana Jones. I don't know if you've seen or heard of that.
Yeah,
they did that in the 90s. I remember watching that show on Disney Channel, I think it was.
Okay.
I could be completely wrong on the channel, but I remember watching that show on TV, and it was all right. I can't say I ever got really super into it, but I just think it would be, I think it would be dangerous to rehash that. I would prefer, I think, for a series, more of just a recast and telling like a season-long story of like what we deal with in the movies, only in a TV show format where he's trying to find something, because the adventurers give themselves to that.
Right.
He travels a lot, like you discover something, you get captured by somebody, you escape at the last minute, and then you're on to the next place. I don't know. I just think it would work. It would have to be recast. I don't think a young, as in like 19, teenager, I don't think that would work so well, but maybe someone who's, like Raiders of the Lost Ark age, like just, and it wouldn't have to be like a prequel. It could just be more of a sidequel. Here's more adventures of Indiana Jones, more stuff that he's been on. Almost all of his movies start off with him doing something, and then he goes on to another adventure later on. So obviously the guy gets around and does this stuff. So
the question is, do you have an actor in mind who you'd like to play Indiana Jones? Because I know for a while there, Chris Pratt was thrown out as someone who was going to replace him. That never panned out. And obviously no one else has portrayed him since. River Phoenix, as you remember, portrayed him as a young Indiana Jones in Last Crusade. But we haven't seen, and besides the show you're talking about, we haven't really seen a young Indiana. So yeah, I don't know.
Who's that guy who played him who played Han Solo in the Solo movie? He looks a little like. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Honestly, for things like this, I feel like it's almost always best to go with someone who's more unknown.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they could not do the very typical thing that's being done nowadays, which is either gender bend or race bend the character.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's just a matter of like, if they wanted to do that, just tell. There's ways to do that stuff without changing the character. You could have someone else portray because Indiana Jones is obviously going to be like, what, in his 80s in this next movie? Because he's in his 80s.
Yes.
And he was at least 60 in the last movie.
They're going to DH him, so they'll probably have him in the they'll probably have him late 60s, early 70s.
I mean, they could have an Indiana Jones who's in his 50s and training someone younger, to carry on his name if they want to do that whole, race change or gender change or the inclusivity, the diversity. They want that in more of the movies, and I understand why they want that. You want to represent our country, our world as it is, but there's ways to do it without just like changing a character who's already existed. Mm-hmm. I just feel like there's so many more characters, there's so many more stories out there to be told that you don't need to change a character who's already existed. I want more stories. I want more original stuff. I'm sick and tired.
Female James Bond.
Yeah, I'm just sick and tired of the constant like unoriginality. Yeah. Like we keep doing things over and over and over, and they're not really making new stories anymore. They're just rehashing old stories. Everything is a franchise now. Everything has to be a franchise. I was reading an article today where Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was talking about his Christmas Santa Claus franchise with J.K. Simmons playing Santa Claus. So it's like, okay, do I want to see J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus? Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. Does it have to be a franchise, though? Why is everything a franchise?
Yeah, because franchises get you the money.
They do, but it used to be one of those things where if it was good and told a good story and everyone liked it, it got to be a franchise. Right. Now it's like we need to make this thing a franchise before it can even possibly start. So they end up seeding so much stuff. They end up seeding so many other, like putting so many little Easter eggs in that the movie can't really stand on its own anymore. And that's just frustrating. I want good stories. I prefer to watch good stories. And that's why, some of the shows that you have to watch nowadays, that's why you have to watch, these, Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, is because they're the only things that are putting out these high quality original stories, Yeah. It's so rare that you actually see something now that's new. Even like, I can't even think of a TV show. And now they're not killing, but they're dragging Game of Thrones out too. Mm. They're gonna do so many other shows, and
there'll probably be a bunch of spinoffs off of that. I mean, House of Dragon is just gonna be one of many spinoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the show The Boys was very original, and they're gonna have a bunch of spinoffs of that. They have a cartoon of it already. They're having a college age spinoff of it. Like, come on, guys, why does everything have to have a franchise? That's just my little take on it, though.
Yeah. That's fair.
Curmudgeon-y old man Mark.
Yeah, right. Few franchise hater you. But
I mean, don't get me wrong. They've been doing this forever. They've been remaking, rehashing things since, Cecil B. DeMille did it with his own Ten Commandments. So it's not anything new in film. And it does make sense to update the stories for new generations. That's always been done. But when you're doing it, and they're no longer doing it in a way where they just retell or make a new story their own, they have to attach it so much to the others that it's just bizarre.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work the same.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. That's
me. Yeah, we'll see how and if that actually pans out. But so that'll be maybe on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus has been putting out some quality shows. You know, they have Mandalorian was really good. Andor from Star Wars, from everything I've heard about it, it's really good. I've been enjoying what if, you know, Loki. They've WandaVision. These are quality Marvel shows that they've put out. I'm excited for. Even, you know, they have Vision Quest coming out now, which is going to be a show just about Vision regaining his identity. So we're going to see that. That'll be cool. Disney Plus is not putting out crap. They got some good things going there. It's just a matter of whether or not they can keep it out, because they have put out some turds right next to it. You know, and Boba Fett was not as good as Mandalorian. It just wasn't.
Right. I just saw an article, it was yesterday, about Disney Plus. Their profit margin, apparently they just barely broke even this year with, as far as like subscribers on Disney Plus goes. I think they made like a net of maybe 2 million, which in their terms is not a lot whatsoever. No, anything. So it's pretty negligible actually. And so they've saturated the market so much, but they're still trying to find ways to bring more people in, whether it's increasing the cost, which actually my sister texted me, Disney Plus is increasing their cost, I think in December here next month, for new people coming in. And so they're just going to, I mean, that's one way, just increase the membership cost to a certain degree. You know, people are going to, within reason, are going to keep their membership. So you can charge them $1 more maybe, and that you charge $1 more for, millions and millions of subscribers, you're going to get right there is a good profit margin. Yeah. So we'll see. But it's like, it's interesting. Like once you hit a certain saturation market, it's like, what can you do to, increase your profit? Because you can't just keep putting out new shows and not get a lot of more subscribers out of it. Someone has to give. So, yeah. Well,
let's move on
to your article. Yours is about J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter.
J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter. Yeah, it's interesting. I had to go to the original article because no one was quoting what they were claiming. So I found on a couple different sources where they're saying that basically the Fantastic Beasts franchise is dead in the water and is no longer being made. The original article here from Variety does not say that, but it does imply it a little bit. It says that there's currently no Harry Potter movies being developed, and no Potterverse movies being developed at WB. But it doesn't say it's actually dead, and that's what drew me to this article. So the title is I'm going to butcher this name, David Zaslav.
Yes, that's how I'd say it.
Open to a deal with J.K. Rowling on more Harry Potter content. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav mentioned the potential to do something with controversial Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling on another title in the Wizarding World franchise going forward during the company's Q3 earnings call Thursday. The remark was made as part of the lengthy statement about importance of franchises like DC's Superman, Batman, and Aquaman films, as well as Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and Sex and the City content. It was during this answer to the WBD CEO mentioned his interest in, if we can do something with JK on Harry Potter going forward, we're going to have a real focus on franchises, Zaslav said in response to a question from a media analyst about content will be different under Warner Brothers Discovery from the AT&T run of Warner Media era and before. So I don't know if you know this, but this guy, David Zaslav, came in and he's pretty much been like a hatchet man to Warner Brothers. He's the one who got rid of the Batgirl movie. He's axed a whole bunch of other projects that were in development so far as like even filming. Like the movie was done. The Batgirl movie was finished or almost finished. It was in post-production and he still axed it. instead of like releasing it on HBO Max or something, you know, finding some place for it to be released. No, they got rid of it. Yeah. So he's coming through. He's cleaning house with a lot of their stuff. It's because Warner Brothers and Discovery merged. AT&T is out, and they're changing things up. They brought James Gunn in to run DC's movies, which I thought, it's just ironic to see where he went, like, because he went through this whole his trajectory, everything he went through. He got kicked out of Guardians of the Galaxy because of the fact that, you know, he, I guess, said some stuff, tweets years ago. Right. And then, you know, they picked him up. He made Suicide Squad for them, which was decent enough. And then he comes back, finishes up Guardians of the Galaxy, and now he's running the DC thing. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go from there, because they're trying to bring everything into some type of continuity over at DC and build bigger, because it's been ridiculous that DC hasn't been able to hit these billion-dollar marks. Yeah, like Marvel, that they're not able to be as successful in their films. They have the bigger name superheroes. They have the ones that they barely have to do anything. Everyone around the world knows Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Come on. Everybody knows these characters, and yet they're struggling to keep up with Marvel. Right. And it's because of, partially, I don't know. I don't know exactly why it's because no one really knows. But the reality is they're not telling the same high quality stories. They're not.
Writing is weaker, and they're trying to rush into once they fell behind Marvel, their big mistake was trying to rush into trying to catch up as soon as possible without taking their time to build into it like Marvel did. Once they got behind, they're like, oh crap, we're behind. We gotta really speed things up, and speeding things up just made things
Here's
worse.
The thing is, they actually could have just jumped into Justice League. I understand why they made that decision. I feel they could have done that and then just gone off into separate individual stories for the characters, because they had the bigger names. Okay. The problem is these movies were still about Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Those three characters are the established ones. You don't need to be telling us a story about those characters. You need to be telling us a story about Green Lantern. You need to be telling us a story about Cyborg. You need to be telling us a story about Flash. You know, the characters who aren't quite known as well. Those need to be the characters those need to be the ones driving the character part of the movie, with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman basically being there to offer the muscle and support that they are. You know, they carry the superhero part, but you don't need them to carry the story part. So I feel that that's the mistake they made there, because people don't know these other characters as well. So they need to get to know them in the Justice League movie, but they didn't. They just were side characters. They didn't get to know them very well. And they still had the Ezra Miller problem with that one as well.
Right. He's a mess.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly. But yeah. So anyways, I'll post this article in the bottom of this video here. But yeah, he said,
and like, I understand his point of view, because Harry Potter, I wanted to look it up to get the exact number, but I mean, Harry Potter books, as you know, have sold over 500 million copies since they came out. So I mean, Harry Potter is one of the most popular series ever made in the history of mankind. So like, I can understand he wants this, this is one of our franchises, so he wants to cash in on that. So can't really say I blame him there. I mean, this is Harry Potter, but
I hate the idea of them making more Lord of the Rings movies, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Yeah. I really wish they would just leave that property alone. Rings of Power is one thing, but
right. Especially if you try to remake the movies, that's a very bad idea, in my opinion. Even though we're 20 years removed from them, it's way too soon to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Excuse me. But, yeah, I mean, they're going on about her tweets and stuff.
And that's the other thing. I don't really want to get into this a whole lot, but yeah, the whole thing with the controversy with J.K. Rowling, she made some transgender comments so now she's labeled as a very controversial writer, and
yeah, she's what's called a trans exclusionary radical feminist. Okay, so the statement that and they call them TERFs. The statement she made was, if sex isn't real, then there's no same-sex attraction, which she might have a point. Yeah. But the idea there being that whatever a transgender person is dealing with, you can't just say that sex is arbitrary. You can't just say gender doesn't matter. It's just a construct, because the reality is, for most people, it's not. It's just part of who they are, So whatever this small subsection, and I say small, knowing that it's less than 1% of the population, and still understanding that still means we're dealing with people who are having a real human experience, millions of people who are dealing with whatever they're dealing with or going through whatever they're going through. So it's small, but it's also not small,
right?
Because there's billions of people on the planet. So when you say it's less than 1%, you're still dealing with millions of people.
Right. It's still a lot. Yeah. A lot of people.
So I can't deny that there's something that is going on here that needs to be recognized and dealt with. But she also goes on, she goes, if sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. Which, again, it's true. I mean, they had a show called Girlhood released by Ulta Beauty with 2 trans women on there talking about girlhood.
Yeah.
No offense, but they were never little girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
They weren't. They were little boys. They were raised as little boys. They realized they didn't want to be that way or weren't that way or whatever, and became women. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so why are they talking about girlhood? Why are they talking about what it's like growing up as a little girl? It doesn't make sense. And there is, very truthfully, an erasure of women happening through this movement. And it's causing women to be, once again, relegated to second-class citizenship and kind of being rubbed out of like, oh, the only women who are winning things now are the women who used to be men. You're dealing with it in sports. You're dealing with the fact that the woman of the year in one magazine was Caitlyn Jenner, who, wow, it's amazing. She's a woman for a year and boom, becomes the number one woman right away.
I was going to lightly touch on that. What frustrates me the most about the whole transgender thing is when it comes to sports and competing the competitions, having like a transgender woman, who's actually has the body of a man. Because women, the fact of the matter is, women and men have different bodies. They have different. Men are built to have more muscle mass, and just in general are generally speaking leaner and just more muscular. And when it comes to sports, it's just unfair competition to have a transgender woman is in a guy's physical body to be competing against women who aren't built like he is. It's just
no amount of hormone therapy is going to completely reverse that. Right. Within the first year of them transitioning, it just doesn't happen. No, it's not how it works. Eventually, yes, they'll get down to being, I don't know, as weak as a woman, or it will happen eventually, but you're talking several years into it. Yeah.
It's just funny. I forget the name of the transgender woman, but when it comes to swimming, like you can just look at a group photo of the transgender woman standing amongst the women, and it's like, are you kidding me?
A foot and a half taller than everyone there.
Does no one see the difference here? Is everyone blind? Like It's just laughably depressing, in my opinion. But
and that's not to say that like there shouldn't be a place for that person to compete, but they need to maybe make a third grouping of sports or something. It's just like there's a reason why men compete against men and women compete against women. I also think that the reality is women have women who were born women and women who transition have a different life experience from each other. Mm-hmm. It would be like, you can't say that a person raises a boy and a person raises a woman. Like, as men and women, we have different experiences from each other, you know, but you're not gonna, so we can recognize that. Why can't we recognize that a trans person has a different experience than the person who has been that sex or gender their entire life? Why can't we just recognize that it's different? It like diversity. Diversity is supposed to be celebrated. Diversity is not supposed to be something where you go, oh, I don't want to, I mean, like, it's supposed to be this thing where we embrace things being different. But for some reason, with the whole trans thing, it's like, oh no, it's got to be treated exactly the same or else it's not right. You know, and that doesn't make any sense. That just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, this video will probably get banned on YouTube because of all this talk. It really will. We finally get flagged for something, but I don't care. This is like a reality. And I'm not saying anything new. I'm saying I'm practically regurgitating other people's thoughts on this. This isn't anything new. Everybody knows this. It's just, we don't want to, she just said, like, she's focusing on what matters to her. And that is women who were born women and are still women now. That's what matters to J.K. Rowling. You know, she's a feminist who cares about that certain group of women. Why can't she do that? Why is that not okay? Because the reality is not everybody cares about the same thing. If we all cared about the same thing, then obviously we're in a cult or we're brainwashed or something's not right there. You know, we all have, like, you care about baseball. I don't care about baseball at all. Like, it just doesn't matter to me, but you care about that for whatever reason. We're different there, and that's okay. Or even like causes. I care very much about, you know, men's mental health and the fact that there are issues there that need to be dealt with and are oftentimes ignored, and the pressures on men in society. That stuff matters to me. And I give money to those causes and I talk about those things and I get connected to people about those because those things matter to me. Now, they don't matter to some people. That doesn't mean it doesn't matter at all. It just means it doesn't matter to those people. Like, we all have our things that we care about that we want to help people with. And it shouldn't, like, why can't we be allowed to focus on that part, that subsection of a thing, instead of having to focus on all of it? If we all focus on something, it's all going to get taken care of. But if I'm told that, oh no, you can only care about this thing, which is the trans thing right now, because that's the hot button issue. If you can only care about that, then there is a whole bunch of stuff on this circle, on this globe, that's not getting dealt with and also not being taken care of. You know, I recognize that there is a lot of trauma and a lot of issues that women deal with, and there are people to help with those things. I'm focusing on this over here. Why can't that be a thing? Why do we have to do? Why does everyone have to fall in line and be exactly the same? That's not how it works. That's not how any of this has ever worked. You know?
Yep. I thoroughly agree.
So yeah, I mean, we went way off topic with this, but it's all right. But yeah, it looks like back onto the J.K. Rowling Harry Potter thing.
Yeah.
That's all it says about that is that there isn't anything in development right now. So there's currently nothing in the Wizarding world in active development at Warner Brothers, inclusive of both the Harry Potter franchise and the Fantastic Beasts intellectual property. The most recently released content based on Rowling's IP from Warner Brothers was the third Fantastic Beasts film, The Secrets of Dumbledore. And that was July of this year, I think. But yeah, so it's and there's been nothing about Harry Potter since like 2011.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Fantastic Beasts is actually dead. It might be. They've had a lot of issues. They haven't quite been hitting their marks.
Yeah. Seriously been plagued, but
it could still be good. It could still be having more coming out with that. But for now, there's nothing in development, but there's going to be more Harry Potter stuff. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Thanks for
Let's
listening.
move on to our film, because we're going to have a lot to say about that.
Yes.
This week we are reviewing. What are we reviewing?
The Truman Show. Jim Carrey's The Truman Show. Released way back. When I say way back, June 5, 1998. Written by Andrew Niccol and directed by Peter Weir, W-E-I-R, Weir. It was nominated for 3 Oscars: Best Director, Best Writing, and Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Ed Harris, who plays, what's his name? Starts with a C.
The creator?
The creator, yes. Oh man, it's going to bug me. I have to look it up now.
I'm almost there. Christoph.
Yes. I should have thought Frozen. Christoph. So yes. Nominated for his race, which he was well deserved. Very, very, very good role for him here. Synopsis: an ordinary man gradually discovers his entire life as part of a reality TV show. So I literally rewatched this tonight, a couple hours here before around 6 p.m. So just before the show, and in a short word, this film was brilliant. This is, I don't use the word lightly, but this film is brilliant. It's a masterpiece. I think it is. It has so much to say in so many different ways. And if Barb Toledo is listening, I believe this is her favorite movie, and I can understand why. Like, I first watched it several years ago, but rewatching it, I almost forgot how good this movie actually is. We can even just talk for Jim Carrey. He's widely known for his comedic roles like Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura. I know how much you love Dumb and Dumber. But to me, he is vastly underrated as a dramatic actor. He is terrific in this movie. He's also great in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I think one we were talking about reviewing at one point.
Yeah, we're deciding between this and that.
Yeah,
we went with this one.
He is terrific in this role. This film is just it's just so good in so many different ways. I guess first off,
I think this is his first. Yeah. Was this his first dramatic one?
I think so, because in the 90s, like I said, he was doing Dumb and Dumber. He did 2 Ace Ventura movies. He did The Mask. Also in 94, I believe he also did Liar Liar around this time. That was also a comedy though.
Yeah.
So I think this was his first dramatic role. And he knocks it out of the park. He's helped obviously by a great premise, fantastic writing. But oh man, I guess just to start off, I love how this movie accurately, it just predicted. It's very pioneering in a way, and inventive in how it kind of predicted the popularity and obsession with reality TV. Because this was, like I said, the late 90s. This was pre-Survivor, pre a lot of these reality TV shows that are so insanely popular now. There's seems like thousands of reality TV shows now. Back then there weren't. And this movie's all set around, of course, a star, an unknowing star of a reality TV show he doesn't even know he's a part of. And Survivor came out. I looked it up. It came out in 2000. So it came out 2 years after this movie came out. And this movie really comments on how we as humans, we love to watch drama. We love to watch things that take us out of our world, out of our world and into another world. And when it's kind of like almost like Truman's Inception, because when we watch this movie and enjoy it, as so many people do, we're doing kind of the very thing the movie is critiquing and commenting on, the fact that we love movies that have lots of drama, an intriguing premise, a likable protagonist, someone we can empathize with and get attached to, and want to watch their journey and story. So we're doing the very thing the movie is commenting on. So it's just brilliant. It's just in that way alone.
The movie really comments on the voyeurism of it all too.
Yes.
And I found it striking just to think about what we do with YouTube channels and other media that people put themselves through nowadays. You have things like the Kardashians, which is a lot more like you're following them every single day and they're trying to make every day as dramatic as possible, which is kind of what this show is doing for one person. The one thing, though, that's completely crazy is he doesn't know it.
Right.
He doesn't know he's on TV. That is the twist part, is the fact that he doesn't know he's part of this TV show. Whereas all these other people have signed up for it. They've signed waivers. Yeah. They've volunteered for it. And as we've seen on numerous occasions in these reality shows, eventually they can just say, no, I'm out. I'm pulling out. It happens on Hell's Kitchen almost every season. Somebody quits, yeah, that's my one reality show.
Hell's Kitchen. All right. My brother likes it. Daniel loves that show.
That and Bar Rescue. Okay. But yeah, so to me, those are slightly different than, like Survivor and other things. They're not as like reality.
Bachelorette.
Yeah.
All these.
It's dealing with like less important issues, I feel like.
Right.
The Bachelor and stuff like that. You're dealing with like love and marriage and future and life and everything. But yeah, so there's this whole like, it's just kind of insane that people, I can see why people would be glued to it though. Yeah. Because think about it. They can see what they're doing to this guy.
Right.
And the only person who seems to care and be like, no, this is wrong is, what's Sylvia. The girl? Sylvia. That's it. I was going to say Lauren, but, that's her name when she's in the show. Yeah. So you have the Sylvia who is like pointing out that it's wrong. And there are people protesting it saying, hey, this is wrong, because it is like, it's so wrong. It's so immoral what they do to this guy. And
it's manipulation at every single turn, like every day.
It made me also think of like The Matrix and how Neo felt like he was living in a different world and he couldn't like quite make sense of it. And this is what Truman is dealing with, the same thing. There's actually people there's this thing called simulation theory. I don't know if you've heard of that, where people believe that they're living in a world that's like fake and everything's about like, either it's all about them or it's, just like people are NPCs, other people are NPCs. So you can do whatever you want type. Like it's a really weird thought process. I'm not an expert on it at all, but it's just this whole thing of like he just gets to this point where he's acting crazy because they're making him act crazy. They're gaslighting this poor guy. They're making him seem like, oh no, it's not actually like this. Right. But he can still sit there and go, why do you talk like that? Like when it gets really dramatic when they're promoting, what was it like? When they're promoting a cereal or something like that.
Yeah. Cocoa or cereal or something. And then they're like, they act like they're talking to him, but they're actually, as the camera zooms in. That's also, I love how this movie is shot. There's so many zooms in this movie. And, usually you don't use zooms in movies. Those have very much faded away. But in this movie, it's used very heavily because these characters are looking right into the camera and promoting this product right in front of them, while also trying to, fake it and talk to him at the same time. And it's just like, man, it's heartbreaking to watch almost, because it's and the way, like I said, the way they manipulate him, the way Christoph, he like basically, he can control his whole narrative. He controls the weather, he controls the radio, he controls, obviously the actors, the extras, people who interact with him, posters, they prey on his weakness of, they orchestrated his father's death and made him afraid of water, aquaphobia, so that he won't escape or won't try to get away to Fiji. It's just they just manipulate him at every single turn and keep him in this prison, in this cell, which is what Sylvia believes it is, and what some of the other people, they just say, this is entertainment, this is fun, this is cool to watch.
Yeah, and my favorite scene in this movie was the part where, like, he's just got done fighting with Meryl, and Marlon came in and rescued her. And so Marlon and him are sitting on the dock or whatever that was, the bridge that needs to be finished or whatever. And they're talking, and the emotion on Jim Carrey's face and the way you can see like the wheels turning in his head. Like Marlon says this line, he's like, I mean, really think about it, Truman, if everyone's in on it, then that would mean I'm in on it. And the look on his face is one of either he could be believing him and being like, oh no, you're right, it can't be fake. Or, but it's also got this look of like, he's realizing that, holy crap, Marlon's in on this too. Everybody is in on this. Yeah. I have to go more extreme. Yeah. You can see in his face, he gets this determination, and I've always thought that the hug between because he gets reconnected with his father at that point. Right. And I always thought the hug at that point always looked a little off. And I realize now it's like, yes, it does look off because Truman is embracing it. He's having these emotions, but he's also like hiding what he's really planning on doing because he's already determined at that point that he needs to escape. He needs to get out. And as much as he's feeling this thing about his father, he's realizing, no, I am being manipulated. This clearly is part of the manipulation. Yeah. And his hug and the look on his face when he's hugging his dad is just so like cheesy and not right. It just doesn't quite look right.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. Oh,
and it's done so well.
Just, credit to Jim Carrey there. And just the writing in general. I love how his character is, even though he's been fooled this entire time up to this point, how smart he is as a person, though, at the same time. He figures it out, and the whole thing, how he orchestrates his escape with the cameras, blocks one of the I think they call it the pillow camera, or he blocks one of the cameras in his room so that they can't see his escape route, doing little things like that to orchestrate his whole escape from the world. It's just great. I love it. And it's so, you're glued. Like I said, you're glued to every scene in this movie, I feel. And it's at the same time, this movie as a whole, I think it's a satire in the way, our obsession with TV and entertainment at times. It's satire in the fact that the show is, it feels like the whole world is watching this show, literally. And today, there's no one show that, I would say everyone is obsessed with, unless you count The Office. But you become detached from your world when you watch these kinds of shows. And to a large extent, I was just kind of thinking off the top of my head, sporting events to some extent are like this. Last year's Super Bowl was watched by almost 100 million people in the US alone. That's like a third of the population. So it's like everyone, I don't know, it feels to me, at least people that I'm around, when it comes to Super Bowl time, everyone's watching the Super Bowl. Whether you like football, or not, you're watching the Super Bowl. And that's just kind of what this comments on, the fact that we can tune out everything else and just be glued to something in a moment's notice like that. And it's just, this movie, it just does so many things, and it's so good. It's just so good. I also love how it kind of has some like religious themes too, kind of plays on the whole free will thing, because Christoph is he is God in this movie. He's literally God. He can control, like we said, he can control literally everything about the narrative of Jim Carrey's life, of Truman's life, and it kind of brings into question the free will versus divine intervention debate. If if God is, is all powerful, all knowing, and knows every action we're going to do before we do it, do we actually have free will? Bringing in that whole thing, or are we in this, box, or are we in this dome and not able to, see the truth in the outside world? Or is it actually reversed? Are we being manipulated by people around us and haven't seen the light or the truth that lies on the other side or the outside? So there's a lot of directions you can go with it. And it's just like this movie kind of brings out all those questions and ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's just so much to think about. And then also I had another thing here, just kind of talks about surveillance. It's one of those things where today, especially in the digital world, just take a look. You just go into Walmart sometime or any big store and just see how many cameras you're on at one time. It's incredible, actually. You're on camera, whether you know it or not, when you're out, driving or whatever, whether it's at traffic lights, gas stations, stores, whatever, parking lots, cameras are everywhere. You're being watched constantly. And this movie also just comments on that, how you have very little privacy minus inside your own home. And sometimes not even that, because we know very well, our phones are listening to us to a large extent. Our devices are listening to us. So we have very little privacy. I mean, it's not coincidence that when I talk about, I don't know, Costco or Walmart, I get an ad for it on Facebook the next day, So we have very little privacy these days. We're constantly being watched, and it's just, this movie was ahead of its time in so many ways.
Yeah, I read an article about a town that was requiring all shops to put surveillance cameras outside and for the police to be able to access those videos anytime they want, which, like, people are arguing that that's a violation of rights and stuff like that. So we'll see if that town actually carries out that thing. But it's just crazy to think about the fact that you can't do anything without someone, people get jumped in the street and there's always video of it now.
Oh,
something happened. Yeah. Someone captures it.
Everyone has a camera in their pocket these days. Yeah.
Exactly. They all do. And the thing is, we voluntarily do this though.
Yeah.
And I still can't get over the fact that someone, like, obviously not a true story, but the idea is that this was not voluntary. This was forced upon this guy. And he didn't know it, and they lied to him about it. Yeah. And I don't know what I would do if suddenly found out that everyone in my life was an actor.
Right.
It's that they had hired.
It's like, try to put yourself in his shoes. What if you woke up one day and you discovered your entire, he's like 30 years old, your entire 30 years of existence is a complete fabrication. It's just, oh my God, how would you react to something like that? I mean, it's just mind blowing to think about. But I've
got nothing more to say, but
it's just a flat out great movie. It's on HBO Max. If you're interested if you haven't seen it before, I definitely recommend it. I give it a solid A, like a 90. I'll give it a 95%, solid A. Great movie. Definitely rewatchable. It's not one I think I said this is only my second time watching it. I want to say I think I first watched it 5 or 6 years ago, but it's definitely one to check out if you have not seen it. Yeah,
this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I would give it an A+. Yeah, it's up there.
And again, whether you're a Jim Carrey comedic fan or not, like if you hate his style of comedy, don't let that discourage you, because like we said, he is really good in this movie. He has his different side to him than his comedic roles, and this is definitely one of his best roles, flat out.
Yeah.
So that's the Truman Show.
And in case we don't see you later, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good night. I love that.
Next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that that was his final line, and that was his answer to being asked to stay. And he was like,
right.
Well, yeah, it was a good. So next week we will be reviewing Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
We're going to see that together this weekend. We might do something short, and
yeah.
so you might look for a video for that over the weekend. Actually, it'll probably be up before this episode is up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you see that, awesome. And we will be covering that movie next week.
Yeah.
So yeah, carrying on, continuing our conversation and our watching of the show Fringe.
So
Episodes
how do you like these
3 and 4.
3 and 4, The Ghost Network and The Arrival. So what did you think about these openings? They're a little less grisly, right? I mean,
they were
Ghost
much
Network,
less grisly. much less grisly.
Yeah,
I don't really feel like you saw anything grisly. And what was it?
the Ghost Network. So the second one was the Arrival. Yeah,
The Arrival
did not have a bad opening whatsoever. Yeah, that was definitely different. The one with the Ghost Network, that was one where it was on the bus, right? And you had the people, kind of
that had some grisly stuff in it, but nothing compared to the body horror of the first 2 episodes,
right?
So that's better. That's
there you go,
a lot better for me. I like that they're getting into the relationship between the father. And Walter
I'm missing Peter.
Walter and Peter more. And something's going on with Peter. They showed that in the Ghost Network, that somebody was following him. So we're like, okay, why is this person following him? And what exactly is he involved in? Because we didn't know.
Right.
She just showed up and forced him to leave. And he was making some type of deal over in a foreign country.
And we find out, that everything is starting to keep coming back to Nina and Massive Dynamics. So, like they're involved with these things at some point, something along the way. And obviously you'll see more of that as the episodes keep going. But they have a huge, huge part in this. So, and this is the first time, I believe in the Ghost Network, that was episode 3. I think that was the first time that William Bell was mentioned. Is that correct?
William Bell is mentioned earlier.
Okay.
They just keep saying that it keeps coming up. Oh yeah, they work together, don't you know?
Yeah.
They did that in the first episode, I think.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, I wasn't sure.
But yeah,
he's obviously a huge figure in the show as well. But yeah, and then in episode 4, the Arrival, you get introduced to the Observer, which is the bald, mysterious bald guy who keeps coming back. You'll see again. You'll see more of more.
Yeah,
of him,
he keeps popping up.
More.
That was really good because he took the cylinder and hid it somewhere. Like he tricked everyone into thinking that they were helping him hide the cylinder, and then he knocked out his assistant there with the what's her name? The young lady.
Yes. Shoot, now I'm drawing a blank too. Agent.
I'll find it right there. Astrid.
Yes, and he at the end of the episode he apologizes for that, but yes, he knocks her out.
But he did it.
He did it still. Yep.
So yeah, that's interesting. He went and then he sits there and talks to the Observer. So that was interesting too. So he's. Sorry, I heard a noise behind me. Wasn't sure what it was.
But yeah.
One of my kids might be awake.
Oh boy.
But yeah. Anyways, following. Yeah. So there's. And then there's another guy running around in that episode who has this gun, and I'm not sure what it does. Because it seems like it's killing people, but also didn't kill some people. So it's like. I don't know what it was. I'm assuming the gun like teleports the bullets inside people or something. It was weird.
Yep. And then at the end of the episode, you had the surprise return of
her boyfriend, John. Yes. It's like which we knew was coming. I didn't expect it this early, but I knew it was coming at some point. So I'm just we'll see what's going on there. I really don't know. We need to find a specific way to analyze these episodes because
whether you want to break down like certain whether you want to do like a character analysis or we're talking like a scene breakdown or themes in certain episodes. Because there's definitely a lot of this. One thing this series does very well, and again, I'm still working through it. I'm almost to the season finale of season 3, but it does very well at balancing, action, but also character at the same time. When you can do both, that's a really, really good thing to do. And so you see a lot of character growth and development in these seasons. And so, yeah, I agree. I think we need to come up with a good, whether it's breaking down a scene or a moment in the show and discussing that or something.
Yeah, because I'm watching them, but it's more like I'm just kind of plowing through at this point,
right?
Just to see what's going on, and it's hard to determine what we're trying to do with our episodes here.
Right.
Hey, if you got any suggestions for us, let us know in the comments section. We can figure out what people want to know about Fringe. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm glad that the gore stepped down a little bit in this, these 2 episodes.
I hate to burst the bubble, but it'll be back. It'll be back. But it's good to at least have a break, for a little while. I mean,
they were drilling into the one guy's brain at the end of the episode.
Yes.
End of the Ghost Network. But yeah, some of these ideas aren't even. I don't know. It's almost like you're getting. See, my thing is with fiction sometimes, like shows like this, I feel like they show us this stuff to make us think this stuff isn't real. So that when stuff like this is real, we'll just ignore it.
Yeah.
There's like this whole conspiracy theory side of it, because some of the stuff they talk about of like the government doing experiments and trying to test certain things. I mean, we know these things are real. We know the government, not necessarily these specific ones,
right?
But we know that there have been things revealed that the government tried to do and tried to learn or figure out that, like, with experiments on people and things like that, it just didn't pan out. I'm just curious as to how much of this is based off of any truth at all, or if it's all coming from someone's someone's imagination or what, I'm curious about that. It's just, it's interesting. We'll have to see where it goes, because they're setting up a lot of stuff here in these first episodes. So I just feel like I'm not getting a full.
You don't get the big picture for
you don't get the grasp of what exactly. I can't fully get my mind on what everything that's happening.
All you know is there's a bunch of weird things happening. They call it the pattern. All these weird biological or whatever crimes happening essentially, and they're all connected. And it's just a matter of getting.
And for some reason, these 3 people are able to figure it out better than anyone else.
Yeah, we have to. That's the one thing you kind of gotta do a little bit of suspension of disbelief. The fact that it's just this Fringe division investigating all these instances, and it's these 3 brilliant people that are kind of at the center of it. But yeah,
well, that's the thing, is it's not just them investigating it. There's other people investigating it, but like in this episode, the what's his name, the lieutenant guy,
Broyles? No, not Broyles.
Broyles.
Broyles
tells Dunham, he's like, about in the 4th episode with the man, the bald man, the observer.
The observer.
He's like, you noticed this after just 3 weeks. We've been tracking this. It took us 9 months to catch on to this part of it. And it's like, okay, so they're catching on to certain things that other people didn't. So
Walter, as you have seen already, but like he's very, even though he was like in a mental institution, he's extremely smart and he's able to pick up on things very, very fast. So
he's also part of it too. Like that's the thing. He knows something. He knows a whole lot of stuff that he's not telling them. Yet. I'm not even. I wouldn't even be surprised if he was involved in inventing whatever is causing this pattern, or if he like is still controlling it somehow, or
you're picking up on things already.
It seems like he's using this to fix the problems with his son. Like it seems like, okay, there's some deep regret there, and he wants to fix that relationship. So he's making this like force fixing that. He's using this situation and these things popping up to help force his son to deal with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to see where it goes from here. I'm enjoying the series. I think other people would enjoy the series as well, especially if you like sci-fi mystery type things.
Right. And like we said, if you like J.J. Abrams kind of style, like you love, Lost. I never actually watched Lost. I know Julie, if Julie's listening, I know she loves Lost. She watched it, when it came out in those, was it early to mid 2000s? I never actually really watched it, but if you love Lost or other stuff J.J. Abrams has been involved with, then you should like Fringe. So, but yeah.
Well, that's all we got for you this week.
That's all we've got today. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for our initial reaction to Wakanda. Well, sorry, you already would have got the initial reaction, but we'll get to you next week.
I mean, we can't help it. This is the nature of our show. We film ahead of time
beforehand. Yes.
We both have jobs. We're both working. We have other things other commitments, so we don't get to be those film reviewers who are doing things right away.
Right.
We're trying to be casual about it. We're trying not to talk so heady that people don't understand what we're talking about. We're not trying to get deep into like the mise en scene and how you understand the film and know that it's all about sex, those type of people. But we enjoy movies. We enjoy watching them, and we just like talking about them. That's what we do. And what we really want is we want to get more people on the show.
Yeah.
I want to find we are looking for another reliable host. We haven't been able to find that yet. We think that would be a good element to add to the show.
We do want to get Levi Palmer on here.
Yeah, we want to get some guests on too, because I think it's a better show and we have more people to talk about movies and because the thing about movies is they are the folk tales of our time. Like these things have an impact on our culture, on our lives, and the way we live and the way we do things, whether we like it or not. And hopefully we're picking the better movies that actually do have those impacts and not just picking out, foolish things that like anybody can see and be like, oh, whatever. It's not really that good. But I think this season we've been really kicking it up a notch and been watching a lot of really great films.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens in a couple of weeks. There's a movie that we're going to be doing that it's kind of just for fun, but we'll see what that movie is. But yeah, so next week, join us. We'll be doing Wakanda Forever, Fringe episodes 5 and 6. And hey, if you want to send us an article that you want to get our thoughts on, go for it. Like we're here. Probably sending us messages through the Facebook or the Facebook page or commenting directly on a YouTube video is going to be your best way to hit us up.
Yeah. So
if you like what you're seeing, feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and drop us a message letting us know your thoughts on things we can improve, things we can do differently, and ways that we can bring you into the show.
Right. We love that.
So as always, thank you for listening, and stay cool.
Stay cool.